Welcome to MasterMind Minutes, the podcast that focuses on the franchise industry. We'll cover topics that are important to franchisees as well as franchisors and share interesting insights that will help you build your business. We have one guest, we ask one question, and we do this in minutes, not hours. Good morning and welcome to another edition of MasterMind Minutes. My name's Gary Occhiogrosso. I'm the founder and the managing partner for Franchise Growth Solutions. We are the premier franchise development, franchise advisory, and franchise sales organization in North America. I'm also the publisher of FranchiseMoneymaker.com. And for those of you who may be tuning in for the first time, our concept here at MasterMind Minutes is pretty simple. We have one guest, we discuss one topic, and we have one expert answer, as we say. We do that in minutes, not hours. That's the whole point. And you can tune in on Spotify, Apple, Google, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can find us pretty much anywhere. And today, my guest is Rafael Viaud, who is the Vice President of Business Development for Executel, and he'll tell us all about that, and I'll also share my own personal stories. He's got a proven track record of driving growth through strategic networking, go-to-market strategies, and lead generation. With over 15 years in the industry, he has successfully led market expansion initiatives, built high-performing teams, and achieved significant sales figures in finance, technology, and BPO sectors. His expertise in strategic leadership, client acquisition, team building, operational excellence, and data-driven decisions really enable him to consistently deliver impressive results to drive business growth. So, Rafael, I want to thank you for being with us today. I truly appreciate you spending some time with us.
I appreciate you inviting me.
Great. And before we start, where are you located today? You in New York? Are you in Bogota? Are you in El Salvador? Where are you?
I am in Bogota, Colombia for now. However, I'll be visiting you next month for sure.
Okay, great.
I'm gonna be in New York.
Excellent, excellent. So before we get into the question, tell us a little bit more about Executel. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, your background. I know you have a very varied background. We've had dinner together in New York and talked a lot. So I'd love the audience to know a little bit more about you.
Awesome, perfect. Let's start with me first, and then I will include Executel. So I started working really, in the early stage. I think you did the same way. So I started in the BPO industry. I quickly learned that sales is a lifestyle, not a profession. Then so I built, let's say, my life philosophy around that. Then in order for me to grow, I quickly understood that I needed other people, to be able to manage certain tasks. And this ties up pretty well with the topic we're going to have today. So for example, when I started as an agent, right? Entry level in the BPO sector, servicing great corporations, huge corporations in the state. But then in order for me to grow, I had to perform, of course, then get into another positions. And in order for me to be able to keep growing through those positions, I needed to have time, in essence, yeah? So in order for me to do that, I needed to develop my team. Then I understood that the same way I wanted to be growth and I wanted to develop and I wanted to get promotions, other people, wants to do the same. So I had to learn how to develop my own team so I can let go whoever is the top performer. And I have always considered that everybody has a chance, that everybody can wing it, that everybody can make it happen. So this is, I think, where Executel and me blend in pretty well, because Executel mindset and vision is to really, solve issues, but not only solve issues, also help them become efficient and effective. So they save time, they save money, and that's the whole point about it. In essence, they started the business a little bit over 10 years. I have only been part of this company for 5 years so far. Quickly growth, the same. I started at the bottom, then started growing not that slow because I had a little bit the experience and everything. And since the last, I would say a year and a half, I became the VP of Business Development. And we had a go-to-market strategy, which is where I finally met you. We offer 3 main services, which is IT services in the managed service provider. Then we have voice over IP, which is in essence phone services for businesses. And then we have outsourcing, which where we're going to focus on what I have the most experience on is the outsourcing, which will be nearshore region, whether it's called El Salvador or here in Bogota, Colombia. That's a little bit in essence, in a nutshell, of who I am and what I have done.
Okay, thank you for that. We had to switch microphones there very quickly. If you see a little jiggle here
All good.
in the video, but you know, I know you through some of the services that you provide to our company, and I think that that's the essence of what we want to talk about here, in the sense that, you know, as an entrepreneur myself, and I'm busy. As I always tell folks, you know, time is my currency. But also, you know, as an entrepreneur, and we all have, I guess, we have different good qualities and maybe some not so good qualities. You know, one of the things I've had to learn over the years is to delegate. You know, very often entrepreneurs, you know, no one can do it better. I have to do it. I'm doing everything. And the challenge there is, as you know, and I think as you pointed out for yourself, when you wanted to grow, you needed to start building a team. And, you know, that can be very challenging these days, building a team, as you know, for a lot of reasons. First of all, skill set, multiple skill sets. Here in the States, we have onerous labor taxes. And I say onerous because I'm just so anti that. In addition, yeah, don't get me on my soapbox. In addition to that, you know, being able to quickly bring someone on board and know that they can get the job done with the training, and knowing that they have a back office support mechanism is challenging. So, what I want to talk about today is, it doesn't have to be limited to franchisors. It could be small business owners. It could be people launching a brand, or maybe even mature brands. What I'd like to talk about is how an entrepreneur or company can optimize its time and efficiency and even effectiveness, because I've become a lot more effective by outsourcing some of the tasks, whether they're administrative or sales, or we're getting ready to do some architectural stuff together. How does that really impact an entrepreneur in a positive way? What have you seen? Because I'm sure I'm not your only client on this.
100%. And I think that the best way to start this is, what does, for example, all of these are your clients, right? But home healthcare owner had to do with a daycare owner, with a beauty supply owner, with a franchise development company, et cetera, et cetera. And I can keep on going. Yeah. So the partnerships are really important, because this is the reason why we got together in the first place, through one of your clients, that of course he was happy with your services and everything. And when we start working and they start understanding how we can help them in this particular specific example through the administrative task, and he started talking to other CEOs, to other founders, to other executives, they all turn out to the same thing. I wish I could have more time in the day. But what exactly are they good at, right? What is their core business? And what are the things that they have to do them because they are essential, but maybe they don't like to doing them. Maybe there's no need for them to do it, because at the end of the day, it's taking a lot of time. What normally happens is that they tend to try it out somehow, yeah, whether it's hiring someone, get someone from the family help out, and they ended up seeing like if it cost more time and effort to do so. Here is where I think that we offer a great solution, because even though we're a big company, we handle this as a family business. So if someone needs to reach out to me, and it's not, you just call me and I'll be there. Yeah. If someone needs to reach out, the operation manager, whoever the case may be, it's going to be easy. We're not perfect under any circumstance. And I think you can also check that there was a time that you had some maybe half an hour that you were not able to reach, let's say your administrative assistant. You call me in, and in a matter of minutes, you already had the contact with them. So these type of situations, is what I feel that makes the difference when it comes to, you need something, you need fast. And this is why it's so important what we do, because everybody that comes to work with us, they come from an office. So it's easy for us to get access to them. And then you have all the support. We don't know your core business. We don't know exactly what you do. So we try to give as much as control as we can. But when it comes to the quality standard point, and someone that is going to be, going side by side with you guys. We are here to help. And that's what I consider is the biggest differentiation when it comes to that. And this is just to set up the actual answer on how we're going to
Yeah,
reduce time in a day.
I couldn't agree with you more. So just to put a little color to that, or a little personal experience to that. So first of all, the amount of time and the amount of work that I'm able to get done now is, and it's not like it's not like it's doubled. You add one person, you think it's doubled. It's not doubled. It's quadrupled. It's
Yeah.
quadrupled. And for those of you who joined us in New York back in November for the New York Franchisor Forum, I will have to tell you that 70% of that was really set up and executed by my assistant Camilla with Executel. Now, to your point about different disciplines and different skill sets and the support mechanism, what I experienced was that there were certain things that she was not necessarily expert in or familiar with, but there are enough people in that office, and maybe you can explain later on, or sort of talk us what that looks like. The folks, Camilla's not working from her dining room table or from her kitchen table. She's coming to your office every day. There's a support mechanism there. She didn't understand something about, I don't know, setting up something on the web. It doesn't really matter what it was. But within minutes, she was able to access that information from another team member within your stable of individuals. So I find that to be incredible, because even though I've only hired one person, that one person has their individual expertise, but then access to other individuals that can help them execute on my directive. So talk to us a little bit about how you're set up to really supply your clients with that level of variety of quick little services. And then I want to talk about some of the other things that we have in mind for Executel that you can tell our audience about. Talk to us a little bit about the facility and sort of how it's all set up.
For sure. One thing I love about my business is that I get to work with so many CEOs, founders, really, really successful people, just as yourself. And then we get to learn about everything. And I'm down to share, most of those experiences. Of course, it has to go through a conversation. Yeah. Like when it comes to you have your own formula to do things. And we have certain, when I get to have people that works in certain things, I will always come forward and tell you, hey, I have this client, for example, that does something similar than you do. I want to make sure that whatever I'm sharing with them, you're okay with it. And sometimes you have been like, no, it doesn't matter, you can share everything, non-conflict of interest. And this happens also with other clients, but it's not the same. Yeah. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is trying to build a team that can learn a little bit from everybody and can grow to the extent that we can accomplish something. Yeah. One thing we do super good is every time someone joins the team, we try to understand, doesn't matter with whom they work, what is their client expert on, what are they expert on. So when it comes out, it's easy to find an answer to any particular problem or situation. What happened in nearshore region in general, but I'll say that Bogota, Colombia specifically, it's more oriented towards finalizing the college, going to get master degrees, going to get, PhDs and all this stuff, is that they study, they build their careers, but then they get stuck because there's no many opportunities out there for them. So because the opportunities are so scarce, they have to find other companies that will allow them to implement a little bit of this. You just mentioned it earlier. We help people in sales, customer service, tech support. We have virtual assistants, and something super crazy. For example, I hired a metallurgic engineer that, by the way, is going now to the States, because he's going to go in all the trade shows that are going to happen between February and March. He's going to be there, building relationships. Then he come back, and then he's going to stay here, for the long term. And it's funny because the client once called me and he says he's been a client for more than a year already. This we already had the same experience last year. He called me and says, hey, Raf, I just need you to sell $1 million this year for me. And I'm like, okay, challenge accepted. Fast forward, he's closing $100,000 every month. So now the challenge is, how are we going to get the production going on the steel and metal deck supply to bring other people on board. Yeah, and these are the type of problems they want to have. And I think this is the best example. Instead of him having to give a call and make sure everything is getting done, because the people, the engineers he hired there were contract based only. So he can actually make them work for a certain amount of hours, no KPIs, no organization, nothing that will give them the control. It's going to impact them. Besides everything I just mentioned, I think we have a nice set in place when it comes to, if someone is regarding building, we have someone from building, someone from HR, and we have operation managers, and then I also get involved. So it doesn't really matter what the situation is. We're here just in the Bogota office, nearly 100 people all together, and we try to blend in because we understand what are the areas of strength and weakness we have to make sure everything gets, with the ball rolling and everything going well.
Yep, and again, to give you some personal experience, I'm not turning this into an advertisement for executive. We're having a conversation, and I think it's important for people who are hearing this. Sometimes, again, here in the States, I'm just going to talk about mindset of the state, all right? Because that's all I really know. When we hear terms like outsourcing, okay, it sets up a challenging mindset. Some of us think, not me, some of us think that when you outsource, you're calling some place where they're answering the phone in the middle of the night. Maybe the English isn't so good. They don't really speak very well, but yet their name is like Bob or Sue. They have American names, and it's bullshit. Okay, you just know it's bullshit. Okay.
Yeah.
The challenge with that is that the customers, not like my customers, or like if you call a credit card company, okay, and you try to fix anything, the person on the other end of the phone and me being the customer in that case, I'm getting an impression of how much does the credit card company really care about servicing me, that they could put me on the phone with someone that either doesn't speak English very well, doesn't have any answers, and I get that only after I go through 15 minutes of voicemail hell, push 1, push 3, push 9, push this, push that. Okay, so what I will say, by having a person directly, again, one of my customers, if they can't reach me, they can call the number on my email and they will reach Camilla directly, who will either reach me, send me an email, do whatever. If it's an emergency, if it's something she can handle, done, finished, done, great. So I want to point that out because here in the States, people do have this funky sort of vision of outsourcing. What I want to add to that, and then I want you to tell me a little bit more if this is applicable to other disciplines that you service, is when we started talking about my needs, we got into a very in-depth question. As a matter of fact, you asked me to send you an email of, I didn't have to write out a whole job description because that takes a lot of time, but you asked me to give you a list of what I thought I needed this person to do. And then what you did was you put interviewees, you put people in front of me that matched that. And I think I spoke with 6 or 7 people, okay? And you put those 6 or 7 or 8 people in front of me within, I'm going to say 10 days, 14 days. Yeah. Really quick. Every single one of them could have been hired. So I found myself in a situation where I wasn't looking for, or it wasn't about hiring someone from a default, like who could do the job. Okay. Yeah. For me, the challenge was every single one of them could do the job. Who did I think was going to be like the best fit for me in terms of like dealing with my shit, my craziness. Okay. Yeah. And Camilla deals with it pretty well. So talk to me about, how do you bring those people to the table? How do you understand the needs of your customer? If they're looking for, in my case, it was executive assistant support.
Yeah, so what we do is we try to understand at 100% what are the ultimate goal the client wants, yeah? Then what we try to do, we don't do the 6 candidates all at once. We will select a few of them, let's say at first, and then someone will join you through the interviews. Now, back then, because you were a special case and your clients, I can do the same thing.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I was part of all the interviews as well, interview process, because I need to pay attention, let's say, on the way you interview, on the ways what are you really looking for on the interview? What are you asking? What are the things that you like, or things that can be better, from each candidate? This way I get a better understanding. So normally, if someone already have like in mind what they want, it's easy for me to just tackle and put it there. But not only that, I want to be, if in the first batch I'm there with them, I can clearly see what they're looking for. For example, I knew that the most important thing for you was to find someone relentless. And that's what we have, because you're in a fast-paced environment. So what in the first interview, that was like my key takeaway. Now I understand that besides them having marketing experience, having this, having that, is that they are relentless, that they are gonna be, go above and beyond. And the same way you just described it. Hey, there's a situation going on, and then I have to fix it. But there are other clients that they think that less is more, that they don't want. Just answer the phone, transfer the call, and that's it. Don't try to, get proactive or anything like that, because everybody handles their business their own way. And one thing I can tell you is that if they have a successful business, who am I to change it? Yeah, I can give recommendations. I can, based on what I have seen and my experience. But at the end of the day, the client is the client, and he will decide the way he want to run the business. This is a little bit of how we do it.
Yeah, yeah, and every single thing you said absolutely is completely truthful. I mean, it's exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
So let's just sort of switch gears to sort of the different buckets, the different disciplines. Now, we've had conversations where Franchise Growth Solutions is going to come back to you this year and maybe bring on one or two more individuals. I think we're already discussing bringing on an individual who can help our clients, the franchisors, with their architectural work, with their prototype design for their mortar stores. That's tremendous for us because for a few reasons. First of all, it helps us with our clients be directly connected to the process, because many of our clients are startups, so they don't really understand the process. You met Fred. Fred is my associate who really gets involved in operations and build out. The fact that he can directly interface with an architect, with the client, is tremendous for us, because we can create a prototype, which ultimately means that our clients will be able to build their franchises at a lower cost for their franchisees, which not only helps the franchisee, but when selling a franchise, if the cost is reduced, it's much more appealing to the individual.
Yeah.
Everything kind of connects. So I know that that's the first individual, and I think we're kind of in the middle of getting that. But then another person that we've talked about was somebody who was more sales oriented. And my current assistant is more me oriented. She takes care of me, not really sales. Like I have a feeling that she could easily do sales, but that's not really her specialty.
She has the best mentor, which is yourself.
Yeah. So
you go to her on a daily basis, no?
So we've talked about salespeople, and I think we made an introduction, and it might have been at the New York Forum with one of our other, not really a client, but a longtime friend and associate, who is now, I think you're working with him doing outbound calls, selling. Tell us a little bit. You know who I'm talking. I'm talking about Ben. So maybe you could tell us more about the sales piece, because a lot of folks in the marketing and sales business, their biggest challenge here again, finding people who can, again, I think you titled what I was looking for was relentless. And yes, that is one of my 7 sort of key factors here in how I run my company. Being relentless is important. But, there are people who can do a sale or be trained to do a sale, but they don't have it inside to be relentless. So talk to me about that and what you're doing with Ben, and how that might help some of the other folks in our audience who are interested in contacting you.
For sure. So, I had different conversations with him. We met quite along there, and understanding what he was trying to do. One thing I mentioned at the beginning is that sales is a lifestyle, not a profession. And then that no matter what product you have, at the end of the day, the sales process is kind of the same thing. What it actually changes is the product. Most of our business has been created through cold calling. So I started with 2 people, which was my assistant, now the AVP, Ashley, and I started with 1 business developer, which was Valerie. Now she's the sales manager. So as I have been growing this company, the people is also growing as well. And the only reason why we could do this is because I understand the in and outs of the sales, right? When you do business to business sales, you cannot be as aggressive as if you're doing business to client. And if you do business to client aggressively, what's going to happen is you're going to get instant results, but in the long term, that's not going to stick in. Yeah. So what I'm doing, what I started working with him is, what he wanted to something called the sales cold calling machine. So that's what we're working on. But he has his own processes as well, and he has his director of marketing. So they already interview, let's say, the first batch of people. They like 2 or 3 people from them. They are considering hiring even the 3 of them at once, which I think that's the only problem we really have with clients when they start getting to know the candidates because of their English level, their abilities, etc., etc. And there's one of them, for example, that stands out for me. What I did is I did hire him. So he's already in training with me. It doesn't matter if Ben at the end is going to take it or not, because I have another 3 or 4 clients lined up that wants the same thing, that I can easily transition to it. But I hire them and I started to showing him how to work and the way we work to surpassing, let's say, gatekeepers, for example. Yeah. Then whatever process he's going to take, it doesn't matter because I'm willing to invest in the people that I know they have higher chances to get. And more than likely, he's going to hire that person. But this is like in a nutshell, the way I try to see things. And if I'm pro developing people. So, for example, this is tying it back with the first example of the architecture. She came to me once a few months ago, sorry, and she was like, "Hey, I want to grow. I want to become, someone better. But what do you do for a living?" "I'm an architect." When I had the conversation with you and Fred, I was like, "Hey, architect, this is your chance. Come on board." So she did a prototype project. She sent it out, and I quote Fred is that it was 70% better than what he have seen. And apparently the company she chose to do the dummy, let's say the dummy project, was one of the most complex one. And he was really satisfied with it, which I think he also shared that with you. But in a nutshell, this is a little bit of what we do. We're open to move people around as long as they have growth. And we want people that comes to us that is willing to learn and is want to grow at a personal and professional level. Because of course that will come out also with a better compensation in the long run overall.
Yep, absolutely. And again, I sort of, second the motion there. By the way, the individual you were talking about earlier is really, really good. If it wasn't Ben, I would say save that person for me. Okay, that's great. So again, what I think is important here for the audience to sort of connect to is that as an entrepreneur, you can't do everything on your own, number one. Number two, it can be expensive to hire an in-house full-time employee. In addition to that, especially if you're a solopreneur or if you're a startup, you might not have a dedicated working space. So you're not going to have your assistant come to your house or your home office. And today people work all over the place. Okay. So that's a consideration. Okay. The other piece is finding people with the right skill set. More importantly, having that person have access to a whole bevy of other assets where if they get stuck performing a task, they can go and sort of that friction is relieved your team as some other folks there. So that's sort of where I'm at with all of this, and I'd love to get your last thought on why or I don't want to say how you pitch, okay? I know how you pitch. Okay? But when you are sitting with a client, maybe as a last thought, when you're sitting with a client, what are the things that you want them to clearly understand that is uniquely for their benefit, not for yours?
The first thing is that I like to work with people that are like me. Yeah. So, for example, a specific situation it happened to me with one of the clients that he did something, out of contract. I immediately closed the relationship. I don't care how much money they think they have. I don't care how much business they have with me. I can only work with people that they come up front, that they are transparent. For me, that's the most important thing that I want them to realize. I want them to understand that we're not perfect under any circumstance, but that we will not get the same feedback twice. So if they give us feedback, we will fix that and we will try as as hard as we can, above and beyond, to prevent that from happening, and then that they are in full control in the selection process, full control in the task they're going to give them, full control and full access to the employee. The employee works directly with them and they will have access to them for the designated time. And there's sometimes specific situations where even out of business hours, they are available, these employees, and work with the client, because at the end of the day, what I try to do is match values and vision and work ethics from both, right? I want to have also, clients that are going to be grateful with my employee, that are going to treat them well, that are not going to belittle them, et cetera, et cetera. So this has to go both ways. We're more than open to help them out. We're more than open to build business, but we're in the long term. We're not just, in instant gratification. So whatever you pay me now, you can do whatever you want with my people now. It doesn't work like that. It's a partnership in the whole world of the whole world altogether. And that's what we try to accomplish. And I think that's the success we've had. And this is why we keep having more and more business coming and more people referring us, because that's what makes me feel more proud of everything I do. That this is an actual win-win-win situation where clients win because they have what they want, they save money. We win, of course, but the employee as well, because you open the door for some things better, even if they don't start where they want it. Like the case of Liz. Liz is the name of the architect we have. So she's going to start, and she's super excited about starting her architectural project at a better paid ratio than if someone hires her here altogether. Yeah. And she's also helping us out from the recruitment standpoint. So she's being critical for our success. And now we will be able to return something back to her in something that she enjoys doing and is passionate about, that she prepared herself to.
That's it. I will say that you personally, as well as the company, have lived up to all of that. And I'm really tough when it comes to giving out grades. Okay.
I know. I know.
So, Rafael, if somebody wanted to reach out to you or learn more about Executel, and Executel is actually based in New York, correct? It's a New York company, yeah. If somebody wants to reach out to you or learn more about the company, how do they get in touch with you, or how do they do that?
I think that the best way and where we express the most is through LinkedIn. So if they look for Rafael Viaud, we're not that many in the world, so it's easy to find.
Okay, and what we'll do is we will embed your LinkedIn email, or whatever they call it in LinkedIn. Your contact info will be in the profile of the video. Well, look, I want to thank you, seriously, thank you for being with us today. There's so much more to talk about on this topic, but as you know, it's Mastermind Minutes, not Mastermind Hours. We will have you back for sure, and we'll talk about some other topics and other things that you do. But again, sort of as for the edification of folks in my audience, and many of you know that a big part of what we do is coach and teach franchisors and entrepreneurs how to improve themselves, how to improve their results and scale their businesses. Again, I don't want it to sound like a commercial for Executel, but I will say it's a very, very strong recommendation that if you're having any friction with, getting things done, or if you find that, 10 things on your list today end up as 5 on your list tomorrow, and so on and so on and so on, then I would recommend you get in touch with Rafael and see if it's a good fit. So thank you so much for being with us, Rafael. Truly, truly.
My pleasure. Thank you for the invite. Appreciate it. It's always nice talking to you.
You got it.
Take care.